Flight hijacked by terrorists.
Glass shattered all around us. We were literally machine gunned.
Since we had landed in Marseille, there had been some moments of tension, but nothing like what seemed to be about to happen.
The terrorists started firing with an automatic weapon on the tower. There was danger inside the plane, so we now had justification for an armed attack. That attack was carried out from the airstairs.
Passengers pressed to the windows, hands raised, fear everywhere. A rifle hits a seat. Blood on the aisle floor. A voice cuts through the cabin. This plane will not land. Christmas Eve, 1994. Air France flight 8969. 4 men board disguised as police. Before takeoff, they stand. This is a hijacking. A passenger is executed. This isn't ransom, it's impact. The plan is to fly to Paris and turn the plane into a weapon. France diverts the aircraft to Marseille. Waiting there is GIGN. The hijackers open the door. That mistake ends everything. Explosions. Gunfire. All 4 hijackers are dead. Passengers walk away alive. Paris still stands, and the world never realizes how close it came. December 24th, 1994. Christmas Eve. Air France flight 8969. An Airbus A300 sitting on the runway in Algiers, scheduled to fly to Paris. Inside are families traveling home, children clutching presents, passengers already thinking about dinner tables and warm lights. Nothing feels wrong. But Algeria is already bleeding. Civil war, extremist violence, bombings and executions as routine, and hidden among the passengers. 4 men are waiting. They board calmly, dressed as police officers, weapons carried with confidence. They don't rush, they don't panic. The doors close, and before the plane can leave the ground, they stand. Guns raised, voices sharp. This is a hijacking. The cockpit door is forced open. The captain stares into the barrel of a rifle. The demands come fast. Control, fuel, clearance. And when the authorities delay, when they stall, the hijackers choose a passenger. They drag him forward, force him to kneel, and execute him in front of everyone. No warning, no hesitation, just a gunshot echoing through a sealed cabin. The message is clear. This is not a bluff. The aircraft remains parked, surrounded, frozen in place. Inside, fear thickens. The hijackers pace the aisle. Fingers always near triggers, eyes watching for movement. And intelligence agencies uncover the truth. This plane is not meant to land in Paris. It's meant to hit it. The target is the Eiffel Tower, a flying bomb, a message written in steel and fuel. Years before the world would learn this tactic, the idea is already alive. Another passenger is executed, then another. 3 bodies, 3 warnings. If this aircraft takes off, Paris burns. France makes a decision few nations would dare make. They allow the plane to leave Algeria, but not for Paris. They redirect it to Marseille. Waiting there is GIGN, France's elite counter-terror unit. Men trained for scenarios that aren't supposed to exist. They study the aircraft layout, every row, every door, every angle. They know one truth. If this plane gets airborne again, there will be no second chance. The hijackers demand fuel again. They fire shots through the fuselage. Passengers flinch with every impact. Then the mistake happens. The hijackers open the door. Just a crack. Just enough to threaten. Just enough to show control. And just enough to lose it forever. Explosions tear through the aircraft. The cabin fills with smoke. Gunfire shatters metal and glass. Passengers scream and drop to the floor. Black-clad figures surge inside. One hijacker is killed while reloading. Another reaches for a detonator and never finishes the motion. The cockpit becomes chaos. Bullets rip through controls and panels. Minutes later, all 4 hijackers are dead. Passengers stumble onto the runway, some barefoot, some bleeding, all alive. The aircraft is destroyed. But Paris still stands. And yet, this story doesn't end in victory, because the hijackers were not afraid. They were believers, men who had already accepted death. That's why negotiations failed. That's why threats meant nothing. They forced passengers to kneel, to listen, to watch. This wasn't just violence, it was performance. And survivors would later say, the worst part wasn't the gunfire, it was the waiting. Hours of silence, watching fingers twitch near triggers, wondering if breathing too loudly would get you killed. The rescue nearly failed. A charge malfunctioned. A hijacker almost reached a detonator. A stray bullet came inches from igniting fuel vapors. If the timing had been off by minutes, this would not be a rescue story. It would be a memorial. Afterward, governments said little. No panic, no explanations, just quiet changes. Reinforced cockpit doors, new crew training, new rules never explained to passengers. Because Flight 8969 proved something terrifying. Some hijackers don't want to survive. They want to arrive as weapons. There's one detail rarely spoken aloud. During the standoff, the hijackers argued, not about killing, about timing. Daylight or night, maximum visibility, maximum cameras. That argument cost them minutes. Minutes that saved a city. Years later, planes would hit buildings, and some investigators weren't surprised. They had seen the rehearsal. They had studied the warning. The idea didn't die on that runway. It escaped. The hijackers failed for one simple reason. They opened the door. They chose intimidation over patience, and in doing so, they surrendered control of time. One survivor later said, the hijackers didn't look angry at the end. They looked confused, like the story they believed in suddenly stopped making sense. Air France Flight 8969 ended on a runway, but its shadow never stopped flying. Every reinforced cockpit door traces back to that night. So the question isn't whether disaster was avoided. It's this: how many futures exist where the door stayed closed?